Hi, this is Dan Heisman, and this is our continuing series of YouTube videos to help you improve your chess. Today we're going to look at one of the more famous games in history, and if you've never seen this game, it's quite a game. It's called the Immortal Draw, Hamppe-Meitner, I believe 1871. When I saw this game a while ago, I said, when I show this game to the computer, it's going to make mincemeat of this game, these two 1871 players. There's going to be, giant places where there's going to be improvements. And I was completely wrong. There are some places where there's improvements, and they're somewhat important improvements, but not nearly as much as I thought. So actually the quality of the play in the game, even though the game is a very strange game and very memorable, is actually quite high. Okay, so let's take a look at the game. White plays e4, black plays e5, white plays knight c3, and black plays bishop c5. Well, I always tell people, try to follow Botvinnik's rule. If you have a normal opening, take about 20% of your time for the first 15 moves. Well, this is going to be one of the most unnormal openings you'll ever see. White now makes a move that makes the game quite unbalanced. White plays the strange move knight to a4, trying to get rid of the bishop. Moving the knight a second time to put it on a lesser good square just to get the bishop off that diagonal. And now black makes a very wise decision. He sees that he can force the white king up to the middle of the board, and he plays the very clever move, bishop takes f2 check. This is the kind of move that you wouldn't play unless you look a couple moves ahead. So obviously white has to take because black's now ahead in material, and if white plays king to e2, he can't castle, and he's down in material, so he may as well take the bishop. So he takes the bishop, and black plays check. All right, so let's explain why the king has to come up. If white plays g3 now, black simply plays queen takes e4, threatens the rook and threatens the knight, and he wins material. Stockfish here says that white can equalize. He can play queen e2, and if black takes the rook, he can play queen takes e5 check, gives king f8 his best, and now something like bishop g2, queen takes h2, queen takes c7, knight c6, queen d6 check with equality. All right, so back to the game. So white can play g3. It'll be an equal game. If he plays king e2, on the other hand, queen takes e4 check just wins. After king f2, they give queen d4 check. Zwischenzug here. If king to e1, Stockfish still wants to play queen h4 check, king e2, and now queen takes a4. And black's completely winning. He's up 2 pawns. So black has not much to lose. He saw that after g3, queen takes e4, he's getting his material back. And white cannot play king f3 because of queen f4 check, king e2, queen takes e4 check, transposing. So black saw from the time he played bishop takes f2 check that white would have to play king to e3. And here black has queen f4 check as in the game, king d3, and now black plays the best move to break open the center with d5. Okay, this is probably about as far as black looked in sacrificing the piece, and he said, this is interesting, looks like fun. The king's up on d3 with my pawn on d5, he can't take my pawn on d5 because I can at least win the knight, and otherwise I'm breaking open the center. So here white has a bunch of moves. Stockfish thinks that the move played in the game, king c3, is about as good as anything. The other move white could play is queen e1. So white plays king c3. He's hoping to be able to push one of the pawns here, the A or B pawn, and move his king back to the second rank. So here, the best move for black, and this is one of the few moves of the game where the computer has a improvement, is to play d4 check. And after king b3, play queen takes e4. And now white should play something like maybe queen f3. Queen g6 is best. And now a move like c3. But black has a really good position here. And that's why d4 check is an improvement on the game. And as you'll see, white has a chance for one move to really do something good when white doesn't play this. Black doesn't play this move, d4 check. So black instead plays queen takes e4, which is a mistake. It looks reasonable. He's getting another pawn. He's threatening to take the knight. He's threatening to play queen d4 check. But here white has the saving move d4. And this actually gives white the advantage. If black plays e takes d4 check, best is to play king b3, not queen takes d4. Well, queen takes d4 is also good. So white has multiple good moves here. King b3 is also okay. If now something like knight to c6, white can play a3, and he's wriggling away. This, in a sense, the idea of playing d5 around here is white's last big chance. Instead, white continues to run the king with king to b3. Now black's best move, he has d4, and he also has knight to c6. The idea of knight c6 is to prevent d4 from being a good move anymore. After knight c6, white's best move is c3, and then black can play like d4. And now Stockfish suggests white should play king a3. And here black has some good play. He can play queen d5. He can play a6. And Stockfish suggests that that black has more than enough compensation for the sacrificed piece. Instead, Meitner plays what might be considered his last mistake of the game. He plays knight to a6. And the problem with knight to a6 is white can again play d4, which blocks the queen and stops the knight from going to c5. So knight a6 is a clear mistake. In that position, if white finds his move d4, white should win. So now white makes a compensating mistake, and we're kind of glad white did make a compensating mistake because it makes this game so interesting. And white plays a3, trying to get his king back to a2. And now what's interesting is the move that black plays here, it's his best chance, and it's a spectacular move. And it doesn't quite work, but there's only one line which is very difficult to find where after this move white's going to get an advantage. And Stockfish kind of makes a horizon effect, I guess, kind of alpha beta cutoff error, and doesn't consider this move to be one of the best moves for black. Yet even if white plays perfectly, black is doing about as well as black would in the lines that Stockfish suggests. So here, Stockfish is suggesting that black should play d4 or maybe bishop d7 when white will play knight c3. And black's attack is kind of disappearing. The king's going to run away. So black realizes this, and he plays the spectacular move, queen takes a4 check. Well, white, it's too late now. If white tries to run king to a2, Black has gotten his piece back with the extra 2 pawns. He's winning. He can play something like knight b4 check, king b1, and then knight back to the center, knight c6. And white's down 2 pawns. He's behind in development. His center control is terrible. His rook on a1 is out of the game. His king on b1 is not well placed. So black's completely winning. So white can't do this. White has to take the queen. And he does. And now black plays knight c5 check. And Stockfish still doesn't see white's idea, which is interesting because Stockfish is looking 24 half moves ahead. That's 12 and a half moves ahead, 12 moves ahead. Now he's up to 26 ply, which is 13 moves ahead. And he thinks that king b5 and king b4 are equally good. In fact, he thinks king b4 is the best move. But that's not true. And I wonder why Stockfish thinks that right now Stockfish gives king b4 as plus 10.46. Let's show you that. Here's the computer analysis. 29 ply, 30 ply now. King b4, a5 check. And he says king b5 is almost as good at plus 9. And he says white's completely winning here. But after king b4, that's not true, as you'll see in the game, and you'll see Stockfish himself admit his mistake. So for some reason, Stockfish is missing the idea here. You don't see that very often with the latest computers. So let's show why king b4 is not the best move. And then we'll come back and we'll look at king b5. All right, so in the game, Hamppe played the move that Stockfish is recommending here, king to b4. And we can see Stockfish is still saying plus 10.5. And Meitner played the number 1 move, a5 check. Of course, now black can't come back. If he plays king to c3, we'll just show you, then d4 check, king to c4, and here Stockfish is saying b6 to guard the knight. Let's see what happens on knight e7. King takes c5, b6, king c4. Aha, he can run away. All right, so he can't do that. Bishop a6 check doesn't work. So I guess we'll take the computer's suggestion that b6 is... now he's saying knight f6 is better for... Now he's saying bishop e6 or knight f6 is winning. All right, so let's take a look at this. If he comes back, we're looking at the line if a5 check was played in the game, and we're looking at the line on king c3. King c3, d4 check, king c4 is the only legal move. And now he's saying either bishop e6 check or knight f6 is winning. Let's play bishop e6 check since it's a check, easier to understand. King takes c5, knight f6. Now the king can't come back. White desperately tries bishop b5 check, king e7, queen f3, b6 check, king c6, and now the clever move, rook to a7 to cut off the square, threaten bishop d7 checkmate. White desperately tries queen f6, gf6, bishop c4 to give his king. Now bishop d7, he can run the king up because that's why he had to sacrifice the queen for the knight. Bishop takes c4. Isn't this interesting? d3, bishop a6. The king's going to try to come back. King d5. Rook d8 check, king e4, bishop b7 check, king f5, and now just bishop takes g2, winning the rook, and black wins. Interesting. Okay, so king to c3 seems to lose. So in the game, white played king c5, but we can see that Stockfish still thinks that king c5 is winning. We're looking at plus 10 here underneath. So Hamp takes there, and Stockfish still says plus 10 on knight e7. And black does play knight e7, and now white's only move is bishop b5 check, plus 10. Hamp plays bishop b5 check. And now Meitner has to decide, where do I want to put the king? Should I put it on d8 or f8? Well, it turns out it makes a big difference. Right now, Stockfish says, no difference, black's down 10 pawns either way. But that's not so. Stockfish still doesn't see. So Meitner plays king to d8. And now you can see black has mate in 4 unless white plays bishop c6. Hamp plays his best move, bishop c6. Stockfish still says white's winning. b6 check. King to b5. Now Stockfish sees it. Now Stockfish sees it, finally. And now if we go back, he's going to say 0, 0, 0 because it's now in his cache. Bishop c6, b6 check, king b5, knight takes c6. All right, so now white's got a problem. If he plays king to a4, then knight d4 guards the b3 square and threatens to play b5 checkmate. For instance, queen to f1, bishop d7 check, also queen b5, bishop takes b5 checkmate. Okay, so he can't play there. If he plays queen f1, then we can kind of reverse the move order. Knight check, king here, bishop checks and mate. So he has to take the knight. And now black, this is probably where Stockfish messed up. He didn't realize black could sacrifice all these pieces. He probably did an alpha beta cutoff error. Black plays bishop b7 check. And now king takes b7 amazingly, hitting the rook and winning all those pieces. Now white is up a queen, a bishop, and a knight. Yet black will checkmate him with king d7, threatening rook h b8 checkmate. And if now queen g4 check, simply king d6 continues to guard that pawn. And amazingly, white has no good checks. Queen check, b4 doesn't work. He could throw his queen in the way here. Doesn't matter. Rook will still take it. And then mate him on the next move. An amazing line. This is the actual game. Except it'd be the actual game if he took the bishop. We're just showing why Hamp saw that he couldn't take the bishop. So they got this far, and Meitner played bishop b7 check, and Hamp says, oh my goodness, I can't take that bishop. King d7 is going to mate me. So Hamp played king to b5. Meitner played bishop a6 check, and he still can't play, even without the knight on the board, he still can't play king a4 because of bishop c4, and b5 is an unstoppable mate threat on the next move. There's no move for white on the board that would not be met by b5 mate. You know, queen h5, queen e2, b4, b3, you name it, b5 is mate. So therefore, white can't play king a4. He has to go back to c6. And now Meitner played bishop b7 check. And the players agreed they have to go back and forth here now. Both sides will lose if they don't do it. So they agreed to a draw. White has to play king b5. Black has to play bishop a6. White has to play king c6. Black has to play bishop b7. They're both stuck. They both will lose if they don't repeat the position. So that's the famous game. Now let's start from the start again to show how we got here. You can almost memorize this game. And let's look at where white could have played king to b4 instead of, sorry, king to b5 instead of king to b4. That's the key. So here we are, already on the third move of the game. We got a crazy game. We certainly can't follow Botvinnik's rule in this kind of opening. King e3, queen check, king d3, d5, best move. King c3, queen takes, and now white should play d4. King b3, black should play knight c6 or d4 to stop d4. Black plays knight a6, white should play d4. Black plays a3, white plays queen takes a4 check. A brilliant move, but as we'll see, maybe white has a way out. King takes a4, knight c5 check. And now we saw that after king b4 a5 check, even though Stockfish, as you can see below, is saying that king b4 a5 check is winning, we've already seen it's not. That there's nothing he can do here. I don't know if we looked at the line king b5, but king b5 is mate. Bishop d7 check, king c5, knight e7. Notice he can't get out. And now it's going to be mate no matter what white does. He can play any move he wants. b4, b6, checkmate. So king to b4 is a draw. The game continuation after king b4 is the best one. The game continuation. Let's show the game once more and we'll come back to here. King b4, a5 check, king takes c5, knight e7, bishop b5 check, exclamation point, king d8 exclamation point, bishop c6 only move, b6 check exclamation point, king b5, knight takes c6 best move, king takes c6, bishop b7 best move, king b5 forced, or otherwise king takes b7 is mate, bishop a6, king c6, bishop b7, draw. Now let's go back to king to b4. Now Stockfish says king to b5 is also winning. Well, it's not as clear as what Stockfish says, but let's look at it. King b5. We could spend a lot of time here. And now all of a sudden you can see Stockfish drops the evaluation all the way down to 1.5. So let's let him go to 30 ply just to make sure he's not missing something. Now he could be missing some things for the same reason he did before, those alpha beta cutoff errors. King to b5. So black has two ideas. He can play knight e7. He can play b6. He can't play a5 here. Let's show that. So let's say black plays a5. Let's just force that move. a5, trying to transpose into the game. Now white can play b4, exclamation point. And the idea is to take off the knight and to run back. Let's say black tries to stop him with bishop d7 check, king takes c5, and now knight e7, similar to the game. White can play b takes a5, and now he's got a way out. So that b4 move saves his bacon. Okay, so after a5, if white plays, obviously king takes c5 would be transposing, but what he should do is play b4. Okay, so that's a difference. That's why a5 doesn't work now, because of b4. So what else can black do after king b5? He can play knight e7. He can play b6. For some reason, Stockfish now has a much, much lower value for black than he did when we were looking at that a minute ago. All right, so let's try some of those moves and see what happens. Knight e7. And now he thinks queen e1 or king takes c5. Let's try king takes c5. a5 to keep him in. Bishop checks. Is this transposing now? King to d8. Bishop c6. b6 check. King b5. Looks familiar. And there's the draw. Okay. So we've seen here that on knight e7, king c5, a5 transposes to the game. So white has to try something different. Let's try c4 instead of taking the knight. Again, these ideas are just to poke a hole into black's solid wall here around the king. What can black play here? Let's try a5 again just to see what happens. a5. C takes d5. Now the king's going to come back to c4, b6, king c4, and he runs away and wins. Okay. What else can black do here? He could try bishop d7 check, king c5, and now a5. Keep the king out of b4. But c takes d5, and he's getting away. If now b5, just bishop takes b5, I think will do it. And white's winning. So, king b5. What else can black play here? Stockfish is suggesting knight e4, but on knight e4 the king can start to run away. Knight e4 doesn't look like a possibility. So king b5, b6. So that's a key line. d6. And now it says white should play d4 to try to avoid the draw. d4. So we've got e takes d4, trying to keep the king in the box. Queen takes d4, opening up the e file with possible checks coming in. a5. And now Stockfish says, sack the queen for the knight. You'll be up a piece anyway. Queen takes c5. Doesn't matter which one he plays. B takes, king takes. And the smoke is clearing, and white's king is not getting mated. And black is down a piece. So, I think we can see here that king b4 is a draw, and king b5 looks like it's going to be winning. Let's just try anything else. Knight e7, I think we already looked at this. King c5, a5 transposes into the game with a draw. But white has other moves. c4, I think, is the move we looked at. And now we haven't looked at this line, d4. All right, let's look at this. c4, d4. King takes c5, only move. a5, keeping the king trapped in. This is interesting. Queen a4 check. Okay, what should black do? Stockfish says king d8, king f8. If bishop d7, just queen takes d7 check. And then maybe the king can come running away. Let's see, king takes d7, king b5. If a4, then c5, and the king has a line out of here. You don't see too many games where you have to create that line out of there. All right, so bishop d7 doesn't work. So let's look at king to d8. And now the amazing move, queen takes a5 to give white the b4 square. Only move, queen takes a5. Wow. Rook takes, well, he could play b6 check or rook takes a5 check. Rook takes a5 check. King b4, knight c6 check. King b3. And black is down a piece for a pawn, and the white king is getting away. So with best play here, white should win. So this looks like one of the main lines we just looked at here. Let's do that again. So after the game continuation, knight c5 check, king b5 exclamation point, knight e7, c4 exclamation point, king takes c5, a5 transposes to the draw in the game, c4 exclamation point, d4, king takes c5, a5, Queen a4 check. Doesn't much matter where the king goes. I've been putting it on d8 because that's been where he goes on most of the lines. And now the amazing move, queen takes a5 check, only move. Rook takes, king here. And really doesn't matter what black plays. Knight checks, king b3. And white should be winning. So if we look at the game one more time, we're almost out of time here. There's a couple places where both sides can improve. Here, black should play knight c6 or d4. Here, white should play d4. Queen takes a4, clever move. And now white should play king to b5, really hard to see. King there, leading to an unbelievable draw. a5 check, king takes c5, knight e7. Bishop checks, only move, king d8. Bishop there, only move. Pawn checks, king there, knight takes. King takes, only move, bishop checks, only move, king a b5, only move. Bishop checks, only move, king there, only move, bishop checks, only move, draw. So that's it, the Immortal Draw. You saw the computer analysis. I've never seen that analysis that I gave you today in any book. The books that give this game give kind of lighter notes. Nobody has really, I think, looked at this game with modern computer analysis where they can look so far ahead. But you saw even in this game that, you know, Stockfish didn't see the draw. He made some alpha beta cutoff errors, which you don't see as much with modern computers, where he cut off some of the lines where black needs to sacrifice those pieces to either mate or get a draw. And it wasn't until the black played the moves that finally Stockfish said, yeah, you're right, it is a draw. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed today's game. For my YouTube channel, if you liked the video, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, you can hit the subscribe button. And we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.